You will drown in eternal night.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and to another Mortal Kombat mobile character review. Today we are looking at Klassic Smoke. We'll go through all his basic attacks, special attacks, his X-ray and everything else he brings to the table. Klassic Smoke is part of the martial artist class and his passive is called Lost in the Smoke. Any opponent fighting against Klassic Smoke for 10 seconds gets affected by blind. Each time Klassic Smoke or his classic teammate resists a debuff, this debuff is instead applied to the opponent. Classic teammates gain 20% resist to debuffs. In the beginning there was silence, or so they say, but MK Mobile tweeted out that the team will soon add a new gold card to the roster. Very soon it became clear that it will be Klassic Smoke. And the community was extremely excited about this. We didn't have a gold character for such a long time, and assuming that he will of course be one of the classic ninjas, he might be added either to the Faction War store or maybe even have a challenge like it was back then in the day with Classic Ermac the case. He was then added with update 2.7 and 4 days later he was available in the shop. But that's already where the controversy started, because they dropped him merely in one of those paywall bundles. And despite the fact that you are paying $10 for this pack, you only had a 20% chance of unlocking him. Luckily later he was then added to the Classic Ninja pack for 350 souls. And the last time as it appeared I tried my luck and got him on first try, so that's why we are doing the review today. Of course my Klassic Smoke is only Fusion 0, but once maxed out he will be reaching level 60 and Fusion X. Smoke's gear piece is the Ninja Yoroi and it gives you 35% max health boost, 50% resistance to all debuffs which is for Smoke characters only, and 35% damage boost against enemies affected by blind. In terms of his feats of strength, he will have to win 500 matches in battle mode to unlock his rune. For his victory stances he will have to win 750 matches in Faction Wars. For his taunts he has to perform 250 X-ray / fatal blow attacks. For his icons he has to perform 1500 special 2 attacks. For his backgrounds he has to knock out 500 Sub-Zero enemies. And for his titles he has to perform 2000 special 1 attacks. And now we are going to take a closer look at the victory stances one by one. We are starting with victory. Next would be warming up. Third will be MK2 victory. And exclusive for Klassic Smoke only, Dark Shadows. And unfortunately I don't have this one unlocked yet, so I can only show you the warming up. Now I'm going to show you the backgrounds. I'm still missing 2 here. Next we have the icons, and I'm missing 3 of those here. And finally the titles, and here I have already 3 and 1 is still evading me. Klassic Smoke has two kinds of combo enders. The first one is identical with his variation Smoke Triborg, starting off with a few punches and then ending up on the lift kick and of course knocking the opponent down to the ground. His second one is starting also with a few punches and then ends with a knockdown, also punch style, very similar to Cold War Scorpion or Grandmaster Sub-Zero for example. One thing you should be aware of is that once he goes into the lift kick, just like his Smoke Triborg variation, there's also the chance that this combo ender whiffs for some weird reason. But when working properly, his chaining is pretty good. His special one is called Brother's Weapon and it has a speed buff tied to it. This one was also part of the controversy around Klassic Smoke, since he basically copies Hellspawn Scorpion's combo ender, or if you want to go that far, even cosplay Jackie Briggs' combo ender in Scorpion's variation. Interesting here is that his special one is only lethal once the opponent blocks the attack, otherwise it will just pull the opponent close to you. His special 2 attack is called There and Back and it has a snare effect tied to it. This attack can knock out your opponent, but speaking of stealing stuff from Scorpion, just for fun, try to play the silver variation of Scorpion and perform his special 3 and then compare that one to the special 2 of Klassic Smoke. Have a lot of fun. His X-Ray is called Ashes in Your Mouth and instead of being a Megadeth song in this case, it will have a shield buff tied to it. By the way, this X-Ray is identical with the one he used in Mortal Kombat 9, and we should be grateful for that. Mechanic-wise, his passive is pretty much the same as the one of MK11 Sub-Zero, just instead of the freeze once the timer is over, the opponent will be suffering from blindness. And now it's time to recommend some gear again, and my first choice goes to the Bladed Fan for unblockable basic attacks and a chance to heal on special attack 1. Then also a great combination is if you go with Spectre's Infernal Chains. Technically it is Smoke's gear piece as well as it is Scorpion's. And once you would have it maxed out, Smoke would also pull back the opponent when he tries to tag out. On top there is also a chance to power drain. The higher you fuse it, the better the chance becomes. I think when fully maxed out you even get a 100% chance, so that's perfect for Smoke and Special 1 use. The Edenian Force Rejection Field is another gear piece that came from the She-Ra Ryu Tower, and even though it's Jade's gear piece, once the opponent suffers from blindness there is a chance that he even misses special attacks on you. And given that his passive constantly involves blind debuffs, you should give this one a try. In case you want to start with Wrathhammer or Devastator, use the Vial of Infinite Blood to get a block breaker on special attacks and also applying bleed on combo enders. But the winner in my book is his own gear piece, the Ninja Yoroi. It will not only boost your health, but also will boost the damage on blinded opponents. And on top it also increases the resistance to debuffs, which you can also amplify if you use the Hawk Stance from the talent tree. And so far my favorite loadout for Klassic Smoke is the Bladed Fan, the Ninja Yoroi and Spectre's Infernal Chains. Those three combined make a pretty good setup already. When it comes to character recommendations, it's all about his passive again. He boosts classic teammates, or at least he gives them the resistance to debuffs. So I would start with Classic Scorpion. but you can also add Classic Ermac, maybe Classic Reptile, Classic Sub-Zero. My favorite one would be Classic Raiden, but of course you can also go with Classic Jax or Classic Sonya Blade. It really doesn't matter. The only one that I would not use here is Classic Liu Kang, since he would be resistant to debuffs, and that's the last thing that you want since he benefits from those. If we leave all the controversy aside, which of course has its place and I made a video on that, I will link that at the end of this video here, but when it just comes to the pure gameplay, then I have to admit that Klassic Smoke is a lot of fun to play, especially once you are stacking those speed buffs from his special 1 attacks. I think the highest one I was able to go was up to 4 times speed increase, and that's absolutely crazy in terms of speed against the opponent, because they cannot hit you at all anymore. They will just be locked in this constant basic attack special 1 loop, especially when you are using then the Spectre's Infernal Chains with the chance for power drain, and maybe using weak point attacks from the talent tree, even snaring the opponent. As you can see here, when I'm using that, Jax cannot even escape anymore and barely can do anything except taking damage, and that already carries over to the next opponent, so there's just one after another. Once you are using his gear piece, his passive combined, and then also the 20% resistance from the talent tree, then it's even very hard to power drain him and other classic teammates, so it's incredibly fun to go up against stronger characters and just punching them down step by step while they are barely able to react to that. Well then, let's go to the pros and cons, and my first pro is the speed stacks on Special 1. As I already mentioned, you can stack that thing up to 4 times, maybe even 5 if you're lucky. And it is so much fun when you see your opponent helpless in the match, not able to move regardless of strength and fusion. My second pro is the extreme debuff resistance. It's super hard to power drain Smoke, or to snare him, or to set him on fire, poison him, make him bleed. It's absolutely incredible, especially because he is able to just throw that effect back at you. Only one weird thing that I noticed as I was fighting against Sub-Zero Triborg as he tried to freeze me, I basically froze him instead, but Smoke was not able to move until the freeze of Sub-Zero was over. And I am not sure if this is a bug or not, but on that one we will have to wait and see if the developers are changing that at some point. In the meantime, let me get to my third and final pro, and that is the fact that he's able to snare his opponents with a special 2 attack. As I already said, when using the Spectre's Infernal Chains together with weak point attacks, you have that effect on Special 1 too. But even if you choose to not go that route with the talent tree, you still have the ability to snare, and that's incredibly useful in a match, simply because your opponent cannot escape, and you can pretty much finish him off as you see fit. My first con would be the bug in his basic attacks that I already pointed out is also a part of Smoke Triborg, where he can whiff during a combo ender, which should never be the case. Once the combo ender is performed, it should be executed flawlessly, and the MK Mobile team really has to look into that one for sure. But I noticed on Klassic Smoke it's not as extreme as it is with Smoke Triborg, so that's a little win. The design is another point that I'm not really happy with. I mean, of course, it's just like a palette swap, and basically he looks the same as Classic Ermac, Classic Sub-Zero, Classic Scorpion, but that's already another thing, because he was basically the only character released together with the Shirai Ryu Tower, and therefore it sticks always out like a sore thumb, because we are constantly just getting reskins and nothing really brand new for the game. we are getting one character after another that is basically just a copy and paste work. And it feels like there is so little work put into the game, but on the other hand, they are asking so much money from their players, while at the same time doing so little for the game, and we basically have to wait weeks until bugs are acknowledged and fixed. And the copy and paste moves very nicely visible on Classic Smoke. The special one, the combo ender from Hellspawn Scorpion / cosplay Jackie Briggs. The special 2, basically just like a copy of Silver Scorpion Special 3. Then having the palette swap look on top, so that's really many things coming together. And the developers really don't have to be surprised when fans are getting angry, because there's always that nice saying, you reap what you sow. But now to end this review properly, we have to rate Classic Smoke, and I think I would give him an 8 out of 10. He's for sure a really good gold character. The problem is mainly the controversy that surrounds it. But at the end of the day, the only thing that counts if the character is fun to play, if he's useful, and the answer to that is a clear yes. But yeah, that was my review for Classic Smoke in a nutshell, and I hope that it didn't matter that much to you that my smoke is not maxed out and I'm just reviewing the Fusion Zero. And I hope that regardless of his fusion, I answered all the questions you might have about Classic Smoke. So I will see you guys on the next video, and in the meantime, stay safe. Thank you for tuning in once again. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. In case you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button twice just to make sure. And if you want to support the channel a little further, please consider joining the Patreon family of KC Mobile Gaming. You can already do that with as little as just $1 a month. And also follow me on social media like Twitter and Facebook. You will find all the necessary information in the description below of every video. If you want to see more content, then why don't you just click on one of those 2 videos here. Thank you for your support. Have a good one. KC over and out for today.